The following video is brought to you by the guys at the Wrecking and Racing Podcast, a NASCAR podcast made by the fans for the fans. Check them out at www.wreckingandracing.com, facebook.com/wreckingandracing, and Twitter at Wrecking and Racing. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Racing 2003 season, the 2019 mod, and we're kind of going back in time here for the race at Infineon/Sonoma/Sears Point because they're actually racing the old layout with the carousel this year. So you could refer to it as Sears Point as it used to be. Brandon and I looked online for a modern, updated Infineon with carousel and didn't find one off the top of our head. But we wanted to get this race done, so we went with one that worked, and this is actually the NASCAR Racing 2 version of the track. So repurposed for 2003 season with 2019. I mean, there's about a 20-year gap between the cars and the track, but we are ready to go. You can see we're outside or inside. We're on the left side of row 2 behind Ryan Blaney, and this is Blaney's first pole of the year, so good on ya, Ryan Blaney. Brandon's back there as well in his wreckingandracing.com podcast Toyota, and 12 laps here. We've got 13 in the tank, waiting for that green flag, and green is in the air. We can jump directly to the left. Looks like Blaney did not get a good start. We can get the whole shot going up the hill and into the first 90-degree right-hander. Down to second gear, off camber corner. It wants to spit you out to the side really bad, but the gearing in our car is pretty stout. I'm not worried about getting past too much because the gearing in first, second, and third especially is very, very good in our car, so we can claw back anything that we lose. Oh, and Blaney gets into us just a skosh. Tokyo drift through the right-hander, gathered it up, and everything is awesome. And here is the carousel. We're on the new old part of the track now. Carousel is a sweeping left-hander, and we get basically a drag strip straight ahead, and then we will make a hairpin right and get back on the track that modern NASCAR fans would know. Just off to our left would be those massive tire barriers and that straight shot into this right, and we head to the S's. We're on the left side, Kevin Harvick looking to the inside as well as Kyle Busch, and this is where our drive really takes hold. You can see we gained on Ryan Blaney quite well, and this bodes well for exiting turn 11, the hairpin on the leading to the finish line here. This right-hander coming up is very, very sketchy. We want to get it slowed down before the bridge so we can make the right-hander and not deposit ourselves to the left-hand side. And we'll get a run here on Ryan going out of turn 11, down to second gear, possibly first if you want to get all of your torque. But second gear is good enough. We'll get that acceleration up to third. Yellow flag is out. Let's see if we can nip Blaney at the line. And indeed we can. That acceleration proves fruitful, and we will be starting behind the pace car. So caution here on lap 1. And this track is so old that there are no caution lights stationed around the track to show you when the yellow exactly comes out. So we'll have to look at that in the replay, but we will not pit. We are one lap to the good on fuel, and that's before these cautions. So I will see you at the green. race car looking left. They will make the left-hand turn and around the outside of turn 11, and we will get the whole shot on Blaney. If we get a good start like we did for the start of the race, we should be free and clear going into turn 1, and that sets us up well to just keep all 4 tires in the gray. That's the long and short of it really for road course racing. So here we go. Green flag is out and on the gas up to 3rd and 4th gear up the hill, and we gap Blaney just a bit. So no pressure from behind. Looks like it's Blaney and Harvick, and then a gap back to Brandon, who is coming up here in 4th place, going to challenge for 3rd. So Brandon having a good run here on the road course as well. Only 2 road courses for the year, so we have to make them count as best we can. And especially for, I wouldn't say an inaugural event, but an event that hadn't been run in a very long time, at least this configuration. We want to put on a good show. Ryan Blaney not giving us really any breathing room here. He's going to be tough all day as he gets into the carousel. The AI can roll this left-hander a little bit better than we can. I wonder about the circumference. Does that carousel resemble the Watkins Glen carousel that goes to the right? Speaking of right, we will stay on the right-hand side. They can drive into that hairpin a whole lot deeper than I can, but we'll rely on our gearing to get us out of trouble. And these two are, you know, miles ahead of everyone else. Looks like Kyle Busch is back there, so we've got some time to pick and choose our battles here and not really put ourselves in a bad position. A win would be nice, so as long as we are within, you know, shouting distance of the leader, we can rely on our gearing to do the work. Hit the rev limiter just a little bit coming down that hill. I wish 4th gear was a little bit longer, but we've got very good early speed, which is what we need, especially here. These turns are very tight and very quick. Kevin Harvick looking to the inside. We should be able to pull away once we get the power down in 2nd gear. We are a bullet out of a gun coming out of turn 11, so Ryan Blaney will lead that lap, but we'll get to his inside, slide up into him just a little bit. Car is wanting to wash out. He'll have the preferred line going into turn 2 or 1B or 2A or whatever in the world you want to call it. Really loose on throttle. A lot of torque gets put down when we go for broke here in the lower gears especially, so have to modulate that throttle just a bit, but every ounce of you wants to get back on the gas hard and get around those guys. So far, Blaney is behaving a little bit better in that right-hander than he did on lap 1 for sure. Not feeling too awful threatened. I mean, he's right there in the mirror, but as long as we run our line, we should be okay. I'm not seeing anyone behind Harvick yet as well, so we've got a little bit of a breakaway here in the top 3. Maybe a few seconds back. I can't see anyone in the mirror. I know Kyle Busch is back there and Brandon is back there as well. We'll see if they can work their way up here, and indeed Brandon is running in 4th place. And side by side behind us, that'll allow Brandon to get a preferred line and catch up to those guys. Whether or not he can make the pass and set it up, that will be on him. But yeah, those guys are still side by side back there. That'll hurt them through the S's. A very fast part of the racetrack if you're single file, but when you're double file, you're slowing everyone's run up much more aggressively than the ovals, that is for sure. We'll come down here in turn 11, and they've just got a whole lot more braking authority than I do, so they can catch us on the heavy braking corners, but as you can see, that gearing allows us to pull away, and another lap is in the books. So I don't know what happened on the lap 1 crash, but so far everyone is behaving now that we're back to green. Usually restarts are crazy. On road courses, it's your best time to make up spots as on any racetrack. And with these low speed corners, you can sort of get into people a little bit more. You can shove a nose in there, you can get a bumper and people can catch it. It's a pretty fun time when you've got people that don't flat out wreck you. A little bit on the left side, tires in the dirt just a bit, but this dirt is vicious here in the NASCAR Racing 2 version of this track. If you get in the dirt, it's very tough to get out. Like, it's a 4-wheel lockup, at least that's what it feels like, and it's very tough to get out of that stuff. So keeping all 4 tires on the pavement is a plus. So the better we can do that, the better we will be. We can actually block Blaney's run just a little bit. You can see he downshifts into second very late, so he's on the brakes very late and using that engine to slow himself down, it seems. But he's no match for us on corner exit. As long as we can ride these S's quick, we'll be good. We're on the limiter. You can see coming over that hill, we're on the chip just a bit, but we have to get it slowed down early. The car is very off balance, going from the left-hand transition to the right, and then when it crests over the hill at the same time the car is off balance, it's a very unwieldy situation. We wash out of turn 11 just a bit. We'll use that gearing to our advantage, second gear doing the work. We definitely don't want to lose a gear. That would be very detrimental, especially if it was fourth gear or second would probably be the worst gears to lose here. Down into second, everything is awesome. Brandon has closed up that gap. He is almost on the back bumper of Harvick, clicking off better laps, and part of that could be me slowing down Blaney and Harvick a bit, and if Brandon had open racetrack, he can run much faster than those two guys could stuck behind me, so he's making a charge. We'll see if he can get around Kevin Harvick in the carousel, and I think I see Kyle Busch behind Brandon as well, so it's a 4 or 5 car race for sure. Definitely not a runaway. Blaney is definitely keeping us honest. He gets that good run off the carousel. We'll get the hammer down in fourth and then top out. I don't know if Blaney has more overall top speed in these high-speed sections. Harvick looks low. This may be Brandon's chance to pounce if Blaney is not going to concede that spot to Kevin. But it looks like Kevin conceded the spot to Blaney, gets back in line, single file through the S's. And I tell you, you got to be on your game every turn, every shift here at the road course. One slip is a total disaster and not a whole lot of room to gather it back up. Harvick looking to the inside of Blaney. Is Blaney going to pit? No, Blaney stays on the racetrack, but Harvick looks like he is making the move. So we may have Kevin Harvick on our back bumper this next lap. Blaney is able to roll that outside, and both of them choke each other up. We get a massive run. Not a whole lot of pressure, and Brandon even makes the pass. Put Brandon in second place with an excellent move going into turn 1. Looks like those two are choking each other up, but Harvick looks to be passing Brandon back. That's good for us. We can keep our eyes out of the windshield rather than the mirror and focus on our marks. Make sure we hit every one of them as we need to. Don't wash out to the dirt, please. Very tenuous and a very narrow entry. It almost feels like a Formula One course, the way you have to get in very specifically. It's almost like a Monaco, where your entry angle has to be precise because there's not a whole lot of room on either side to wash out if you miss it. We can take this turn a little bit wider, see if we can roll the apex. No, we just blow the corner. Tell you, try something new and it screws your rhythm up. That's the just being a race driver. You do things the right way 199 times and you try something new and you screw it up. We'll be down in fourth gear over the crest. The question is, will the AI decide to pit? If they've been running hard and haven't been conserving their fuel, it's pretty tight. If they gave up one lap of fuel, they may feel the need to pit for gas, and it does look like a few are coming down pit road. So we'll get the launch off, and Brandon will be right there. Yellow flag is out. So we will be taking the caution back in the lead. We won't be coming down to pit road because we will be behind everyone that made their way onto pit road and basically screw ourselves. So we will ride this out, and I'll see you for the green. race car. Looking left once more, Brandon is in second, and Brad Keselowski is in third. No sign of Ryan Blaney or Kevin Harvick. It looks like we have Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., and Jimmy Johnson up here in the top 5. So something bad must have really happened to those guys for sure. We've only got a few laps to go here, waiting for the green flag. Waiting. Definitely waiting, still waiting. I didn't see it, but we're going. That was odd indeed. Usually, you know, they throw the green to start the race, but it looks like we're going to start it no matter what here. Don't want to overshoot the second corner. Brandon following us through. Brad Keselowski putting pressure on him. Kyle Larson behind him. So a shakeup in the top 5, and with Brandon right there, the pressure is on. No more Ryan Blaney being conservative, that is for sure. Let's get down into this right-hander. And Brad makes the pass on Brandon. He gets washed out to the left side. We'll see if he can fight back in the carousel or maybe even the hairpin. Brad got an amazing run going into the carousel. He is right here, knocking our bumper down. We'll give him the left side like we did Ryan Blaney. If he wants to drive in and charge his brakes hard, that's on him. We can catch up. Larson is there, and so is Truex. Brandon on the right side. Looks like Brad has a little bit of deck lid damage, so whatever happened might have touched Brad as well. But he's out here in the lead, and we are hounding him here through the S's. We'll be single file, and we'll see if we can get him on the turn 11 launch. As long as Larson doesn't dump us here, we're on the chip just a little bit and then roll back, get the car settled. We're washing out to the right and then have to get that car turned back to the left. Really loose on that flat corner for sure. Brandon looking to the right as well. Dive in second gear. Kyle Larson on our outside. Brandon right behind us. Truex and Jimmy Johnson behind him. White flag is in the air. One more lap to go, and we'll take the white flag away from Brad Keselowski. Let's see if we can get away. As long as we have a lap like we did in the last lap, we will win the race, but just barely. We'll try to gap Brad just a bit. Brandon there in third, right on the back bumper of Brad. A little loose on turn 2 exit. Really trying to put that hammer down. We don't want to overdrive anything. Brad's not giving us a whole lot of pressure right now. I think he's more concerned with what's in his rearview mirror. Brandon gives Brad a lot of room. It looks like he might have got touched by Kyle Larson as well, but single file going into the carousel. Only a series of turns left to go. We're looking fairly good, and if we can gap Brad on this drag strip going into this right-hander, we will be fine. Power down, up the hill we go. Top gear will drive in a little bit deeper than we normally do and give Brad the left side. He will take it. He'll take the bait. We'll get to his right side. We'll have the preferred line. And if we can get the whole shot off of the turn, we can complete that pass, put Brad back in second. And now we just have to defend turn 11. That's going to be the next place where we will be in danger. We'll see if Brandon can do anything with Brad here coming to turn 10. We'll choke up Brad just a little bit. As long as we get through here, we'll be looking pretty. Indeed, we can. Brad might have rolled out of the gas just a little bit. Brandon looking to the right. Brad charges hard. We'll keep her in second so we don't spin the tires. And hammer down. Yes, we're going to get it. The gearing pays fruitful, and Brandon will take second place. So a very spirited run for the victory, but that will be win number 5 in our pocket. Let's take a look at the TV cam. So we won the race. Brandon in second, Brad Keselowski third, Kyle Larson fourth, fifth, Martin Truex Jr., sixth, Jimmy Johnson, seventh, Chase Elliott, eighth, William Byron, ninth, Kevin Harvick, and Paul Menard rounds out your top 10. Good run for Paul. And yeah, can't really see the finish with that TV perspective. And there you go. William Byron nips Kevin Harvick at the line. And we do have a few things to look at here. Let's go back to the start and see what brought out the very first caution here. We'll look at the moment of caution if we can and see when the yellow flag came out. So there's the flag man. We will go driver none. and we'll go back to the very beginning. And we will wait for that green flag to happen. Wow, there it was. Flagman wasn't playing around there. What in the gravy happened? So was it on the start? Okay, so that was coming to the lap before. All right, so green flag in the air. Still waving, still waving. There's the yellow. All right, so let's go. Was Alex Bowman involved? Yes, indeed. So a spin by Bowman. Thanks to the 13 of Ty Dillon. He's looking to the inside of the 38. He'll get a little bit. Oh, so, yeah, Bowman got loose. He got out of the groove, and he tried to come back in front of Ty Dillon, and that brought out the yellow. I don't think anyone else got any damage or was involved. So let's go to the next time we had a yellow flag. Yellow is out. Green, 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 yellow. All right, so let's go back and see when this yellow flag came out. There we go. Yellow flag is out right there. Okay. We see what brought out the yellow. So Ryan Blaney, making a very late decision on the outside of Harvick, decides to try to follow him down pit road, hits the barrels. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano involved, and there's Brad on pit road as well. Very interesting. So that means that the pits were closed when Brad came down. That should have been a penalty. I'm not going to, call the pot and the kettle black, but Brandon had a very similar situation in Pocono where he was actually on pit road when the yellow came out and was penalized, but Brad was at the entrance of pit road. The yellow flag came out, the pits were closed, and he was able to continue his service and restart in the third spot. So I'm not sure about all that. That's very interesting indeed. Now, Brandon did come across the line behind us, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's off spinning. So, oh, Jimmy Johnson. What in the world was Jimmy's problem? We're slowing up for the yellow here. We're right behind the pace car. Brandon seems to be minding his own business. And here comes Jimmy Johnson with a head of steam. Actually, okay, so Brandon slows down a bit and Jimmy don't see it. Oh, and that damages Eric Almirola, and even Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch get into him a little bit. So the rivalry continues between Brandon and Jimmy Johnson after that All-Star race. I tell you, Jimmy's becoming a bit of a loose cannon around these parts. So let's take a look at the standings after Sonoma. That is my 5th win of the year behind Brandon's 7. Still got Almirola, Harvick, Keselowski, and Blaney with 1 win. But there in the cutoff is Alex Bowman. Paul Menard is actually tied, but Bowman has more top 5, so he will be in on those merits. Only 1 spot back to Joey Logano, only 2 spots back to Daniel Suarez, 23 back to Jones. There's about a race between 14th and 20th where that 16th spot can be filled by anybody in those spots, but that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week for Chicago. Take care.